Yo, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy BZ Chaos. Today we're back for another video. Today we're back for our final mock draft. We have 37 minutes till the draft begins. And some of the cards are shaking out. We haven't seen any trades yet, surprisingly. But let's get right into it. Pick number one. The easiest one on the board. Fernando Mendoza. Sorry if I'm, panting a little bit. Just came back from, basketball. Took a shower. Wanted to get one more of these out here. Pick two, though. Everyone has been saying Bailey the last 3 days. I take a look at the odds, though. The odds to go, to be the first guy drafted here at number two. It's Arvel Reese. He is nearly minus 300. He's at minus 275. I think that's the guy. I think I would go with him. He's just a better prospect. He's more pro ready. He played in that OSU system under Patricia, who was a defensive coordinator in the NFL for a long time. Pick three. Right now, if they keep the pick, which I think they do, it looks like it, Jeremiah Love is the guy they're going to go with here, in my opinion. Now at four, David Bailey's probably going to be my pick here. I don't see another pick. I think this is a possible trade down for Kansas City, Washington, New Orleans, trying to jump the Giants for pick five because the Giants, they just want Jordan Tyson so bad at that pick. And I don't think he's going to fall to 10, so I think they're going to take him at 5. So I think David Bailey's the pick here, though, if they keep it. And I think right now, Jeremiah Love is the pick if they keep it. Honestly, I'm surprised the Jets didn't think about trading down. Definitely could have benefited them for the future. Obviously, they're not going to get their quarterback. Maybe Ty Simpson. His stock is definitely a first rounder right now. So we will see really there. The Giants, like I just said, I think Jordan Tyson's the pick. I don't see anybody else right now. I think Caleb Downs would be the number two. I don't think Delane, maybe a trade down. Mawaga, I don't see anybody else right now. So I think Tyson is the guy to go with here at 5. And I did have him at 4 for a long time, and obviously stock dropped because of the injuries. But if the guy plays, he's a top 5 receiver potentially. So let's hope for it. 6. I want to say Carnell Tate, but I think just the pick is going to be tackle. This is just an offensive line that is completely new. 3 of their starters this year, or going into 2026, will be new players. They got rid of everybody on that offensive line. Get a guy like Mawaga. This is perfect. I'm not really concerned about the injuries. I don't think they are either. If they were, maybe they go Fano, maybe Monroe Freeling. I know they like both. Again, potential trade down spot because they could still get one of those offensive linemen, 12, 13. I know the Rams want a receiver. Makai Lemon has been talked about a lot there. The Cowboys want a receiver now too. So who knows really on that one. At 7. Now, the Commanders is a hard one, honestly. I think Sonny Styles is probably going to be the pick here. I want to say Carnell Tate because I think they should get a receiver, but considering how deep this receiver class is and how bad their defense was last year, I think Sonny Styles makes sense. I think Caleb Downs is also going to be in play here, but I'm gonna stick with Sonny Styles, who's not. He's like a outside linebacker kind of. So I think he could be pretty good. It's a hard position to draft always linebacker, but he's less edge rushery than like Arvel Reese, and that's why Reese is gonna go 2 for me, and Sonny Styles is going 7. Now with the Saints, I'm gonna have to shake it up a little bit because I have been going Makai Lemon constantly, and this time I want to go Carnell Tate. I think that probably might be the guy they go with. I think Caleb Downs and Delane are probably going to be the favorites to go here. I think Delane makes sense. Obviously, Adebo left the year before. Now Alontae Taylor leaves. Just frees up that corner one. He stays in state. Always a nice sign, in my opinion. I think Delane's the pick, dude. I think he is the pick there. At 9. I'm trying to check if there was a trade here. Just, who knows, really? Nope, nothing yet. So, now at 9 with the Chiefs. I think Bain's in play. I think Downs is in play. I think Tate's in play. I think offensive line is the pick though. I do. This is an offensive line that obviously, it was really bad last year. They couldn't protect Mahomes. They couldn't help the running backs. Obviously, bring in Kenneth Walker. Andy Reid has already said he really wants to improve the offensive line. Are you going to put a lot of faith in Josh Simmons, in year two? And he was injured. He was playing all over the place. He was okay. Jawan Taylor they cut. Obviously, he was there the last, 2-3 years. I think Fano was the pick here. It's a boring answer in my opinion, but I think that's just how they go. Now the Giants at 10, I think, Downs could be the play. I think Ione is probably the second guy I would think of here. I think it's Ione and I think it's Downs. I think this is where Ione could possibly go, but I'm not sure they're going to pass on Downs at 10. That value is just absurd to me. And obviously, they do want to get a defensive guy after losing Dexter Lawrence. Him next to Devon Holland would be absolutely beautiful, in my opinion. Why not? I'm really not sure. I think Downs, if he doesn't go there, he would probably go to 12 to Dallas. But for now, let's keep on moving. Now Miami, obviously, just traded Jalen Waddle. I think they take a receiver here. I think Carnell Tate is the pick. I think if they're not going to go that, they're going to go offensive line, Monroe Freeling, Fano, whichever one is there. Even Mawaga could be the one that falls to that pick. Now at 12 with Dallas, I think the pick is going to be Ruben Bain. As we said all offseason, you got three big needs. You got edge rusher, linebacker, secondary. Really, the whole defense. I mean, it's not pretty. Inside defensive line, that's probably the best spot. I think Ruben Bain at 12, insane value for them. Obviously, he was, mocked to be a top 3 pick, top 5 pick, and now he's sitting down at pick 12. So I think Bain could probably go as high as 8 to New Orleans. I don't think he's going to go earlier than that. And I think he's just the pick at 12 here to get Dallas one of their needs. I know they like, Lawrence, and I know they like, I think it was Keldrick Folk was the other one. I've had them, with Mesidor too. I mean, it's a tough one, honestly. There's a lot of good edge rushers in this class, but I think they're going to go Bain here. And then at 13 with the Rams, I like Dieneman there. I do. I like Freeling there. I do. I like Sadiq, but I like Lemon the most here. I think he just fits them. I think he would be awesome in this system. Obviously, McVay is just, a mastermind offensively. And I think Lemon, with the aging Devontae Adams, who's on his last year of that 2-year deal he got last season, Lemon makes a lot of sense, especially with all the Puka stuff. They don't really have a wide receiver 3. They didn't really bring anybody in as well. Another guy who could stay in state there. Now at 14 with the Baltimore Ravens, I think they could probably go just best player available. I think this is just going to be Jermod McCoy. Nah, I'm just kidding. Nope. Jermod McCoy is probably going to be dropping to the second round. I think Ione is going to be the pick here. I think you got to get an inside offensive lineman after you lose Linderbaum. I mean, this offensive line is just not very good last year. And you need the best guard in the class here. Could be a spot where they trade down. Whoever really falls, I would have loved to see Tyson there. Like I said a bunch of times, Omar Cooper could be in play as well. Who knows? Now at 15 with the Bucks, I think the pick just is going to be Kenyon Sadiq. If not, probably an edge rusher. I think, Mike Evans leaving clears up a lot of targets, a lot of usage. Obviously, you have Egbuka, who's a really good receiver. I think he could be the wide receiver 1 for the future. But I'm worried about his production a little bit. And I'm worried about the production behind him more than that. And Godwin's a shell of himself. J-Mac's okay. Tez, he did his job last year. But I think getting a guy like Sadiq, who's just such a weapon, is the best play there. And now at 16 with the Jets, I think corner could be in play. I think Colton Hood, Terrell. But I think more than that, they've been really interested in taking receiver. I like Omar Cooper here, but I think they like Denzel Boston more. I do. There's been a lot of reports of them really being, in love with Denzel Boston as a player. Why not, right? 17 here. Monroe Freeling. I think this is just like a perfect pick. Replacing Taylor Decker, who was obviously there, 8-9 years. At that left tackle spot, maybe right tackle if Sewell moves over. Probably not, but I think Freeling would just be a perfect addition to this team. They struggled on the left side. Dan Skipper and all these other guys filling in just wasn't enough. And at 18, I don't think I've seen a guy mock to a team more than Thieneman. Um, it's just such a perfect fit to Minnesota, in my opinion, and the opinion of most people, honestly. And I think, just getting him on that team, replacing, obviously, Harrison Smith, long time production. But more than that, Cam Bynum left the season before. They didn't re-sign him. They've got a hole at safety, and I think he would just be a very good pick there. Now at 19 with the Panthers, I would have said edge rusher if they didn't, go sign Jalen Phillips. I think corner is probably in play here too. I think this is where Colton Hood, D'Angelo Pons could be the pick. But I think Omar Cooper could also be a, potential player here. I know I know Leggett was a first rounder, and obviously they took T-Mac. They would go 3 straight years with the first round pick. I think Omar Cooper just makes sense, as that wide receiver too, next to, Tet, and then you got Coker as well, who I think is a decent 3, but I don't think he's more than that personally. I think Omar Cooper would just be a good pick here. I would love if they got Sadiq because they've really lacked that elite talent at tight end since Greg Olsen left, unfortunately, and who better, really? I think 20 with the Cowboys. I think, Terrell, like I said, I think Colton Hood makes sense too. I think, D'Angelo Pons, Brandon Cisse could be in talks here, but think I think the pick is going to be Colton Hood. I think he's the corner. I think he's the corner 2 drafted in this one. Corner was such a bad position for them last year, and really the last couple of years. Diggs, Bland, they paid a lot of money and they didn't produce after those contracts, so they're going to look for more than that. Now at 21, could this be Ty Simpson's pick? I think it really could be. I think this is the first spot where you have to really consider. Mason Rudolph and Will Howard as your quarterbacks. Obviously, you're waiting for Aaron Rodgers, but I don't know if he's going to sign there or what they're going to do. But I think probably the pick here is probably going to be Blake Miller or Proctor. I also think I want to, Pregnon, Chase Bisontis in here too. 2 guards who I think could actually go first round. And I honestly, like Bisontis has a lot of love. The Bills, I've had him mocked. When I was coming up with this one, I was like, oh, where should I have these final positions? The Bills came up. Obviously, they lose Edwards. The Texans clearly need a guard. They need offensive line help, always. The Chargers always need offensive line help, and especially now. I mean, Bisontis, I think, is probably going to be the second guard drafted, and I think this is just a good spot for him. I think obviously you have Pittman and DK, and you have Freiermuth, you have Rico and Warren, but you don't have a quarterback, and I don't think they're going to reach on. I don't think they're going to reach on Simpson. They'll probably take like Aller, Nussmeier, or some shit, or Carson Beck, one of the above. I saw, Aller had not Aller. It was Beck that had Pickett comparison. So that's probably the guy they're gonna go take. Now at 22 with the Chargers, I think probably what I've heard is they want an edge rusher, they want a defensive lineman, but they would love to get a guard. But I think right now the pick is Peter Woods. They love him. They really do, and they want that defensive lineman. They want to help their defensive line after Oweh leaves. He got that massive contract. Obviously, Max aging, but Peter Woods be awesome guy inside, for 7-8 years maybe, ideally, and I think that'd be a good team for him. The Eagles here at 23, I absolutely love this spot for Caden Proctor. He's probably going to go earlier, but he's definitely a top, he's definitely not making past Philly if he's there, in my opinion. They would love to get a receiver. I know they wanted to trade up. Tyson was in their consideration, but I just don't see it right now. I don't see them moving up. Obviously, the AJ Brown trade's going to come in a month, but a receiver would be nice, and I do expect them to make a move for a receiver in the draft, probably in the second round. Maybe they could trade back. Maybe they could get, Jeremy Bernard, Chris Bell. Obviously, here still, Casey Concepcion is on the board. He would be the next best thing. And I think right here at 24, he might just go. I mean, if you want to look at receivers, like I said, Bell, Bernard, Brazil. Teams love Brazil. People love Brazil. I'm not sold on, Tennessee receivers. I think Concepcion makes a lot of sense here. This is one of the most wide receiver needy teams. Whoever's going to play quarterback in that hellhole room is going to need a guy like, Concepcion. I think he's an underrated prospect. I've raved about him a lot. I wanted Denver to get him. We got Jalen Waddle, so I can live with that. At 25 here, the Bears. I think the pick could be McNeil Warren. I also think Cade McDonald's here. But, Brisker leaves, Byard leaves. They do bring in Kobe Bryant, but I just think safety is a huge priority for this team. Defensive line is a big priority too, but I think safety is just a bigger one. And now the Bills at 26. I think the pick's just Pregnon. I think defensive line could be in play. Obviously, Ed Oliver's older. He's been injury prone as well. I think Cade McDonald could definitely be the pick. But I think they want to get an offensive guard. They've really prioritized Josh Allen's protection the last couple of years, and it really since they've got him. With the guys they brought in on the offensive line, and the guys even at tight end who they're bringing in to block for. Jackson Hawes last year was a really good blocker. Kincaid, Knox as well. Underrated players that just, they just go under the radar a little bit too. Knox has been there, I think, since Allen got drafted. He made a Pro Bowl, I think, as well at one time. And now at the, 27 here, let me stop yapping a little bit here. I think they could go edge rusher. I think Falk could definitely be in play. I think more than that, I think it's probably just going to be Blake Miller. I think he's a first round pick. And I just don't see. I really just don't see it where, they go edge again with Falk or Mesidor, who, when they need offensive line, they need to prepare for, whenever the day comes after Trent Williams finally leaves, if it ever does. Now, at 28, I think the pick could be McDonald. I think they might want to move up. I think they probably end up doing it maybe 16, somewhere around this range. I would definitely expect them to try and move up. Chase Basantis is going to be the guy they look for, I think. But if they stay, Cade McDonald. They haven't moved yet, so can't really predict it. Now at 29, I think, obviously we go back up. Spencer Fano. I think Falk would be awesome for this. They want edge rusher, Menahu, left. Karlaftis, questionable at best. I think Falk would be a good player for them to get, and Spags would probably make him really good. And he's on the Chiefs, so he's destined to be nasty and terrorize the Broncos. So, next one. 30, I think Ian Achor is probably the pick. I do think they want to, get an offensive lineman. Obviously, like I had, Mekhi Lemon up. Sorry, not Mekhi Lemon. Carnell Tate up there at 11. I think you just want to combine that and try and, help your quarterback as much as you can, besides Devon Achane. This is a team that's going to really suck. This is, them and Miami are going to be, them, yeah, that's the same team. Them and the Jets are going to be really bad this year. So, buckle up, I guess, would be what to say. Now at 31, I think the pick here is going to be Cassius Hell or T.J. Parker. I think the Pats are going to prioritize an edge rusher after, Harold Landry was hurt at the end of last year. They didn't really have other guys who stepped up. Howell is probably the most talented guy there. And at 32, I'm still going to go with it. I'm still going to say it's Jadarian Price, but they probably trade down. I think Price could go, to Minnesota if they move down. I really do. But, 18 minutes from now, we'll start to see how the board falls. Hopefully, pretty accurate. I will be, reacting to my first and last mocks and kind of see how I did, grading myself. So, I'll see y'all next time, and it's been real. So, we won't be mocking for, a long time. Unfortunately. Maybe the NBA soon. I'll see y'all then. Peace.